How about some Watch This Bitches? I know that you saw the big soup du jour, flavor du jour.
Soup du jour. Oh, that was good. I enjoyed that.
The shit du jour.
So I was sitting at work on Friday, like the day that this came out, the Justice League movie. I'm like, I got my hours in for the week. Maybe I should just go take one for the team and go watch Justice League so I could talk about it. But then I pictured myself just sitting there watching Justice League in the theater, and I didn't like that picture. And so I decided I'll just work instead.
Right. It feels like watching that movie. Probably.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say I think Shipwreck's right by not going to see it. But I think once he has the opportunity to stumble upon seeing it, not actively going to see it.
Like on an airplane?
Like on an airplane, or if it's on TV and he's just happening to catch it when it starts, or if it's on Netflix or one of those jabbies, that I don't think he would hate it if he watched it on his own terms. Does that make sense?
It just looks so it doesn't even.
No, it's a bad movie.
It just looks so boring to me.
I'm not gonna qualify it by saying that it's good. It's not boring. I'll say that.
Well, but it doesn't give me a reason to go see it.
I'm not. No.
The trailers just looked like I don't really care what these characters are doing.
No, I'm not telling you to go see it. I'm agreeing with you.
Stop forcing your Justice League on me.
I'm not telling you to go see it. I'm saying that I think there'll be a Sunday afternoon or even a late at night when you have to be awake for whatever reason, and it'll be on and you'll watch it and you'll be like, why is this watchable? Because it's a watchable movie. It may, again, I've only seen it the one time. It may be the most rewatchable of the DC Universe movies. I think that's the Joss Whedon aspect. I mean, there's parts of it that feel lifted straight out of both Avengers movies. And I don't think that's coincidence. I mean, the villain in this movie is awful. Everything about the villain in this movie. No personality.
I don't even know who the villain is. Did they tell us that?
It's Steppenwolf, but it's not Steppenwolf. It's just this character that they gave the name of Steppenwolf to. Steppenwolf, this character has very little to do with the comic book version of Steppenwolf. Both my wife and I were not entirely sure what his plot was when we left the movie theater. We were both going, so he needed the things to open something? Is that what it would then? His big evil plan is the same evil plan as Zod's from Man of Steel. He's to terraform the Earth, apparently. So they recycled a villain plot from the same series of movies.
From Man of Steel.
They lifted the plot line from Man of Steel, but with a villain that has no name recognition and literally looks like he stepped out of a video game. It was the first thing my wife said when we walked out. She goes, that guy looks like he just came out of a video game. It looks like a villain from Shadow of War, the Lord of the Rings game, one of the more human-y looking orcs, not full-on gross orc.
Right.
But that's what he looks like. He looks like a video game character. It's the worst CGI for a main character I've ever seen in a movie. And I can't stress that.
Cyborg? Because his doesn't look so hot either.
Cyborg was fine. It's more about Henry Cavill's weird CGI face because I forget whatever studio makes the Mission Impossible movies. I want to say Universal gave Warner Brothers the big thumbs up.
Paramount.
Yeah, Paramount. Gave it the big middle finger when it came time for reshoots. It was he's not allowed to shave that mustache. Contracts. You know how it is.
Dead.
Yeah.
Should have killed him.
Oh, it's so terrible. And yet, there are certain things that are really good. The lines that they gave Superman's behavior in this movie is decidedly much better than Superman has been as a character in any other movie.
They killed off the bad part of his personality.
Yeah, and it totally works. And he's a great Superman, and I've said that for every one of these movies. The problem with these movies isn't really the people in it. Even Ezra Miller, who I'm not a huge fan of, I still was okay with as the Flash in this movie. Again, it's hard to watch the Flash in this movie because there's part of me that just compares it with TV Flash, but I didn't hate him. I wasn't going, oh, he's terrible. No actor in the Justice League is terrible.
My man.
Yeah, I mean, he's not terrible. You don't sit there going, oh, that was a weird casting choice. You don't. That's not the thought you have. The thought you have is, who wrote this? Who made this decision? Who told him that's what he's gonna do? There's a scene in the movie, and I don't want. It's like, are there spoilers for this movie?
Yeah, there's spoilers. You've already said that Superman's alive.
Well, everyone knows that. That's in the trailer. It was just this. Oh, was it
in the trailer?
It was in the trailer. Yeah.
Really?
It's just, yeah.
I feel like one of the biggest problems they had with marketing this movie was them trying to ignore Superman.
And it just doesn't work. I mean, we know he's there. We know what's going to happen. You could Charlie tell me how this movie ends, having not seen it.
Everybody's dead but Superman.
No, that's not how the everyone's
Batman's
dead.
tank destroys a lot of buildings.
That may or may not happen. But there are some nice touches in there. Like I said, there's like little things in there. Also, the movie is tight. It's like just under 2 hours. So there's no like long drawn out scenes and nothing.
Good.
Because I hate that. It's got some really good action scenes in there. Like, yes, they look like video game cutscenes, but they're there and they're not, they're watchable. There's that first big fight scene that totally works. There's an interesting one in the middle, and then there's the big finale.
Only thing that they've gotten in any of these movies, though, is competent action scenes.
Yeah, and the smart thing that they do in this movie is cut out a lot of what would have been in between them. Do I want to see that Zack Snyder original cut that they reshot 90% of? 1,000 times I want to see that movie. I want to see how bad that was. I very much want to see what they had to change. Because I'm a glutton. But because you watch it and you can tell where the reshoots were. And it stands out. It's so jarring that I'm like, okay, I have to know what this movie looked like at one point. But yeah, there's some like real like cringeworthy moments in this movie where, nothing makes sense and people say things because they have to in order to get to the next step of the movie. But it's things that, why would he say that? Why would he do that? It doesn't make sense. So
that's pretty consistent with the DC Universe movie.
It is. I'm not saying it's inconsistent. It's just, there was just this one. It was one where my wife and I laughed for like a good 10 minutes after the movie. Like, why? Just in the car. Why? But I didn't. It's a bad movie, but it's a bad movie that you could watch. It's not a boring bad movie. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
As far as these
I think I talked about
top
it for
of
too
my
much.
list.
Right.
I think I talked about it for too much. I did watch the first 2 episodes of The Punisher too.
Oh, did you? I was just going to ask you about that. I can't bring myself to watch it because I feel like it's just going to be such a sort of like a slog fest and super depressing.
Like I said, I've only watched the first 2 episodes, which I think is smart. I'm taking this one, I guess, kind of slow. And who knows, maybe the Wi-Fi will be good enough up in the mountains where I'll be able to watch a 3rd episode.
Right.
But I really like it so far.
Oh, okay.
I mean, again, it's only 2 episodes. I'm sure once I hit episode 5, I'll be like, why is this this long? But yeah. Okay. He's really good, and that helps. Mm-hmm. John Bernthal as the Punisher. Totally works. They flash back to his wife about, I don't know, every 4 minutes. And it gets really tiring really fast. Imagine if in a Batman movie or even a Spider-Man movie, if in Spider-Man Homecoming, every 5 to 10 minutes they just flash back to someone shooting Uncle Ben.
Right.
Well, they did that in one of those Batman movies. They were flashing back to it plenty of times.
Yeah, but even then they only do it like twice. This is
2
like
or 3 times a movie.
In 2 or 3 times in a movie is still better than, I think it's like 10 times an hour. And it's like, okay, I get it.
A whole lot else going on with him, right?
No, and it's like, but I get it. Like, I watched this first episode. I understand why Frank is angry. Let's move on. I need to move on from this because I don't care anymore. I no longer care why Frank is doing this because you had to show it to me so many times.
Well, I think if you don't, I mean, I have not watched this at all, obviously, but I'm assuming what they're going with is if you don't flash back to when he was a normal, happy human being, that he just is a complete unlikable character.
Not entirely. He's not entirely unlikable. They give him some human moments. He not everybody in the movie is his enemy. They give him, again, I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but he has two friends in the first 2 episodes that he interacts with in a friendly, normal way.
He's probably going to kill at least one of those.
In the first episode, which is very much like a self-contained thing, it's only in the last 30 seconds that they tie it into episode 2. It's a good self-contained episode where, Frank does good things. It's very interesting. It's a very well-made capsule episode. So, Cheapy, you should watch the first episode.
I'll think about it. It could happen.
Are you going to watch Runaways?
What's that? I don't even know what that is.
That's the Marvel series on Hulu. That
Another
premiered
one?
today. Yeah. Based on the comic book, The Runaways.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, it's a very good. I read the series, so I'm probably gonna watch the show.
That's also Hulu.
That's on Hulu.
Because The Gifted is on Hulu too. But that's
well,
it's a
Gifted
Fox.
is on Fox.
Yeah. For me, it's comes from Hulu.